back to Newcastle Fans TV. It's me and Eisha doing the player ratings, scoring the players, however you want to call it, on a dreadful day at Villa Park. Aston Villa 2, Newcastle United 0. Eisha, we're going to start with Martin Dubravka. I think he's probably one of the only players that can get a high mark, even though he conceded 2. He made some fantastic saves, didn't he?
Exactly, that's what I was going to say. For me, key standout player. He made great saves. Unfortunately, the ball made its way to him far too many times,
Yeah.
but he dealt with it efficiently. I'm going to go for an 8, actually. Yeah.
I think a lot of people would agree with that, especially some of the saves in the second half. He kept it down to 2, for being brutally honest. Left wing back Joshua Willems, not one of his best games, but again, not many people had a good game today. He was okay on the ball, tried to get Maximin running down the wing, but defensively I thought Villa had a real field day, especially in the middle of the park with Grealish and McGinn, which is, you can say, is not really down to him, but I'll go 5 out of 10, and that's being generous, I have to be brutally honest. First centre-half is the former Aston Villa centre-half, Eisha, Kieran Clark. No goals today, but again, he wasn't spectacular like everybody else.
He wasn't. To be honest, leading into the game, I was concerned with him being a doubt, and I was like, oh, for God's sake, he better start. He did start, but then he sort of didn't do much to help the situation today. He didn't put in a dominating performance. It was nothing like what we saw at West Ham. That was a fantastic display.
I wish I was there.
Yeah, you really missed out. And today, yeah, just I wouldn't say disappointing performance by him, but just the form we're in, the momentum we sort of had, and Kieran Clark was like heavily involved with that momentum. He was just a bit below par today. So I'd agree with what you said. I'd say a 6.
6 for Kieran Clark. Paul Dummett was sacrificed after an hour to bring on Andy Carroll. We'll touch about Joe Linton and why I think he was taken off in a bit, but Dummett, again, he wasn't great. If you're rating on what we saw, it wasn't brilliant, so we're going to go 4 out of 10 for Paul Dummett. Other centre-half is Federico Fernandez. Best out of a bad bunch, maybe, if we're being honest, but nothing great again.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely got stuck in. He made more of an impact than, like, Dummett, for example. When Dummett was starting, I thought, I'm sure he'll be absolutely chuffed. We spoke about that at half-time. But in terms of, like, proving himself or sort of, like, setting his mark, he didn't really do that. I wasn't surprised to see him coming off. So, yeah, Fernandez, he made a little bit more of an impact, but he wasn't a game changer by any means. That's what we needed today. Definitely. Especially in the second half. Yeah.
What would you give him?
I'd say a 6 again.
6
I think that's 6, no more than that.
She's been very generous. She's even more generous than me. Right wing back, John J. Edlin. His crosses were woeful. Defending, I thought he was suspect. It was almost like the old DeAndre Edlin, came a little bit back. It was nothing like the game against Bournemouth, which Rob gave him 10 out of 10. Definitely not that today. I'm going to give him a 4 out of 10, DeAndre Edlin. First midfielder, I'll go with Isaac Hayden. Quiet.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, Lee and I were talking about this during the game. Shelvey sort of dominated the midfield. He was the backbone of the midfield, and amongst that, Isaac Hayden just sort of went unnoticed for me almost. He didn't do enough. Shelvey will move on to him, but he really got stuck in. And in a game where sort of someone like Shelvey is there really getting involved, he's great heading the ball, he's great with his body. He didn't offer a lot of support. Isaac Hayden didn't offer him a lot of support, I didn't think. So I'd agree with your score there, yeah.
I think for me, you just can't give him anything more than a 4 or 5. I'll let you choose, but can you give him anything more than that?
Well, I like half numbers. So
go on then.
I'd say 4.5.
4.5.
And I think that is being generous. Yeah, wouldn't go for a 4. That's too low. He still was involved, but he just wasn't. He was nothing like Shelvey.
Shelvey was more involved. More of the ball, try to spray it across, try to get the likes of saint-maximin. Almiron at the game. He had a long ball towards Gale, which I thought was a foul, which I don't think the referee lines went out any interest in, but it looked at the blatant push. Trying to do something, but nothing came off from him. But has he got the players to do that, to come to get those sort of balls into dangerous areas? I'll give him a 6, but I would like to see the likes of Almiron and Joe Linton and Almiron do something with the ball, saint-maximin as well, which I'll touch on in a second, but needs to do better for me. But we'll go 6. Will be nice. Saint-Maximin talked in the week how he didn't care, if we're being polite, about what other people thought. I don't think many people would have cared about his performances after this evening, because I don't think it was brilliant again.
Really?
He tried, but there was no end product, no assists, no decent crosses on goal. He had one shot. Yes, which is probably more than a lot. But but no end product again, really.
No end product, nothing to show for it. Certainly sort of wouldn't stretch to, he didn't play with conviction as such, but I have to say that if I was to sort of look at everyone, he really stands out for me today, just because he was the only one taking the risks. He was the only one who was just sort of, we know he's pacey on the ball, he can control the ball magnificently. Yes, there's no one around him to support him, and that's not his fault, but I do think, as usual, he did give his best. There are no results to show for it, but he was constantly on the ball. He was so pacey. He was the only one who was really sort of giving it his all compared to everyone else. So yeah, I'd give him a 7.
Could you agree with Eisha? 7 out of 10 for Saint-Maximin? Get your comments in below with your player ratings as well. Almiron, I thought that was one of his worst performances in the Newcastle shirt today. I think it was that bad. Don't get me wrong, he puts the effort in, but just everything that he tried to do just didn't come off today. Really, really poor. I just think he just needs something to go right from it at the minute. It's almost, we're coming up 11 months, 12 months until he was signed by Newcastle, and nothing's happened with him, Eisha. And at the minute, I can't give him any more than a 2 out of 10 today. It was that bad today.
Yeah. Up until today, I mean, I'll continue to root for him and sort of yearn for that opening goal from him. I believe in him for sure, but coming off on the international break, he did so well for his country. In the preview, we spoke about it's only a matter of time. Yep. He's this close to getting a goal, and today, like it was shocking. I would say it was shocking. Every time he got the ball, he sort of panned around, who can I pass it to, who can I pass it to? There was just like panic, and he was just a bit edgy on the ball every time he received it.
There's no confidence, is there?
No confidence at all. And where Alan Saint-Maximin was sort of crossing into the box or wherever, any sort of danger zone, Almiron wasn't there. He just wasn't there on the receiving end. Even if he was on the receiving end and he wasn't able to finish it or sort of give it a good go, we could excuse him, but he wasn't there today. He looked clueless. He looked like he was getting outrun all the time, and he's not the biggest of lads compared to, I mean, if you look at Tyrone Mings and the boys they've got up at the back, they're huge. Physically, a bit more, they had an advantage.
Yeah, just a bit.
Miggy just looked like he was sort of getting pushed around a bit, essentially, and he didn't really, it just didn't look like he had the confidence. If anything, he just looked a bit terrified when the ball came to him.
And that's it. They were talking about the confidence. He just doesn't have it at the minute. But yeah, we have 2 out of 10. If you disagree, let me know why in the comments as well. Joelinton. Again, we can talk about the fact that he's not getting any product. And we're talking about how bad Almiron was. He didn't offer him a great deal. Maximum tried his best. But again, Eisha, I'll ask the question, did Joelinton have any chance on goal today?
No, it was shocking. The thing is, although we've sort of criticised Almiron, the thing is, with Joelinton, he barely got the ball. And even when he did get the ball, he was sort of bullied out of possession. He lacked urgency in possession. He just wasn't involved. He just wasn't... He barely had the ball. No. He barely had the ball, and that's shocking for a centre-forward. Yeah, I mean, similar to Almiron, I have been defending these two up until now, and we do have a goal drought in our front three. But you can't say he gave it his all today, because he just didn't. No. When Andy Carroll came on and Dwight Gale came on, I spoke about him as well when I was doing the interview. I really liked Dwight Gale. I really liked how they sort of came on with a new lease of life, and it was a lot earlier than I expected, and I was grateful for that, because Joelinton should not have been given any more minutes. At that point, Steve Bruce should have just looked and been like, you know what, he is struggling. This is something we need to acknowledge and do something about, rather than leave it to the last few minutes and keep persevering with him, because it's not worth it at this rate, is it?
And that's not. What would you give Joelinton on today's performance?
2.
2 for Joelinton, 2 for Almiron. You're not going to get goals if you get 2 out of 10s with Newcastle Fans TV, to say the least. First substitution, you talk about Andy Carroll. He fell over a couple of times, won a couple of headers, but had a shot on goal, which is more to say from Joelinton. I'll go 5 out of 10. Dwight Gale and Christian Atsu were that on long enough?
They weren't. I wanted to see more of Dwight Gale, and I've been saying that since he sort of came back into contention. And I truly believe, whether it's him and Joelinton up front, or perhaps just Dwight Gale just getting a bit more game time, like today, a bit more, he can do stuff. I know he was in the Championship, and he had a great season last season when he was on loan. And there's no reason why he can't score goals for us. He just needs more game time. And seeing what he did today with those, like we were talking about this, he's not the tallest of guys.
No, not at all.
He was really getting stuck in. He came on, he was like man on a mission. If he just had more game time, and him and Andy Carroll, they're sort of like a dynamic duo. I mean, that's what I observed anyways. I think they're playing really well together, and it helps that they both came on with this sort of energy, as the morale was just so low by the time they had come on. So yeah. So what, we're scoring?
We'll score Gale, because it was only a couple minutes after, but I'll give a non-applicable for Atto. I'll let you have the honour of giving Dwight Gale the rating. What would you give Gale today? Same as Carroll, maybe a 5, or do you want to?
No, I'd say more than that. He really had a lot of energy, and he had a lot of attacking intent. He, if you were to sort of watch him and Almiron side by side, you'd be like, this guy has the drive and the desire to really like do it and finish. He wasn't able to, but he wasn't on for long enough compared to Almiron. So I'd give him a 6.
6 for Dwight Gale.
What about you?
I'll agree. Go on, I'll go 6. I was going to say 5, but we'll go 6. Steve Bruce. Wasn't well liked towards the end. Aston Villa. He wasn't liked by the Newcastle supporters this afternoon, or this evening. I keep saying this afternoon. It's been a long day. It doesn't matter which Steve was in charge today. I don't think we would have got anything from Villa part of the day. We were second best in all departments. He went 4-4-2 when Joe Linton came on. I think that's why he got a bite in the nose. I think he got a nosebleed when he went 4-4-2. But too little, too late. And I'm going to give Steve Bruce a 3 out of 10 for his performance today. Get your player ratings in below. Eisha's given her thoughts on the likes of Almiron and Joe Linton. Do you agree? And who was Newcastle's man of the match? We've given it to Martin Dubravka. He's kept us in the game today. Get your comments in, like and subscribe to Newcastle Fans TV, and we'll see you later on this evening.